everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my April TBR video. In March I ended up reading quite a bit of books. Actually, looking back at my March TBR video, I managed to read all of those books except for one, which will be moved forward onto this list. Hopefully I can get to it. But otherwise I had a very productive reading month, and most of the books I liked were really good. I managed to finish 5 trilogies in March, which I just think is a super awesome achievement. I was really happy because it felt like I was wrapping up a bunch of series all at once, and now I can start on some new stuff. Actually, not really. I'm still going to just be reading more series that I need to finish because life is never-ending series that you just got to continue finishing. In April, I'm looking forward to getting into some different books. I do expect to read less in April because it is my finals month. I have 3 major projects that I have to get done, plus I have a few concerts that I'm going to, and just general life things that I anticipate less time to physically read. Also, this is a book channel, so I wasn't going to mention it, but April has the release of the new season of Better Call Saul, and a release from my favorite band Shinedown's album, which means that I'm going to be listening to less audiobooks, because I'm just going to be playing that on repeat, which will severely cut down on my audiobooking time. So, yeah, April's probably going to be a light month for me reading-wise, but it's going to be a great month for me overall. And so this TBR will be shorter and will be mostly confined to buddy reads or things that I already have ongoing. The first book that I'm definitely going to read this month is a reread. It's one of my all-time favorite books. It would not surprise you that I really love this book if you know anything about me. It's a part of a buddy read along with Sarah Reeves' Discord, and that is Watership Down by Richard Adams. I read this book a few years ago. I didn't read it as a kid like most people seem to. I came to it completely as an adult who already owned 2 rabbits, and I just really loved the story. I almost disagree that it's a kid's book. Like, it obviously is a book that kids can read, but I feel like it deals with more adult themes and, you know, complex characters to a point where a lot of people maybe write it off and think that they wouldn't enjoy it when they're older because it's about rabbits, but I disagree. I think adults can read this book and totally love it for the first time. I highly recommend it to pretty much anybody. If you really don't like animals or like anamorphized animals, although one of the things that Richard Adams did really do with Watership Down is try to make sure that the rabbits don't behave like people. They behave like rabbits, and like they're still anamorphized because we're reading a story about them. But overall, they do act more like rabbits than any portrayal that I've seen of rabbits in any other media, so that's a plus for me. But yeah, I'm unsure if I'm going to read this book physically. I got this nice edition that I really like, and I've never actually read this edition. I read like a used paperback when I read it the first time. But Peter Capaldi does the audiobook, and because my physical reading time is going to be limited this month, I will probably do most of this read on audio, or maybe fully on audio. But yeah, I'm really excited to reread this book. I just really love it. Next book I'm definitely reading this month is probably going to take up a lot of my time for physical reading this month, and it is a buddy read with Bookborn, and that is Speaking Bones by Ken Liu, the last book in the Dandelion Dynasty quartet. I've really loved this series. I talk about it all of the time. The 3rd book was the first half of this book. This was originally one big book, and it was too big, so they cut it in half. So the Veiled Throne was all of the build-up, and then Speaking Bones, theoretically, should be all of the payoff. And so I am very excited for this. I have every expectation that it is going to become one of my all-time favorite series. And while Veiled Throne took me a while to get through, this one's about the same length. It's about 1,000 pages. I anticipate it going much faster because it should just be, you know, a bunch of climax stuff happening for 1,000 pages. That would be really nice, right? So, but yeah, Bookborn and I read Wall of Storms and Veiled Throne together, so it only made sense that we would read this together too. We had to both find time in our schedules that we would be able to buddy read it, and it was sent to both of us by Ken Liu himself, so thank you so much, Ken. This is a nice signed edition too. It says, "To Kyle, may your stay in Dara be memorable and joyous. Do the most interesting thing. Thank you." And see right there. So yeah, big thanks to Ken Liu for the arc of this. This book comes out June 22nd, so I will have a spoiler-free review for it probably sometime in May, just so people can see what I think about the series overall and whether or not it's worth reading now that the whole series is out and how it ends up. The book that I'm going to read this month is Tagana by Guy Gavriel Kay. I've been wanting to read some Guy Gavriel Kay for a long time. He's actually from my city. He has written a lot of books that I feel like I would have a lot of interest in, and I've just never picked up one of his books. This is also a buddy read over at Sarah Reeves' Discord, And I would like to physically read this because people say that Guy Gavriel Kay's prose is really good, but I do have the audiobook, and the audiobook is narrated by Simon Vance, who is wonderful. So I might do dual audio depending on whether I have more free reading time than I'm expecting to. But yeah, I own a lot of Guy Gavriel Kay's books. I really hope that I end up enjoying this. Even if I don't like Tagana, I'm still going to try more Guy Gavriel Kay. I own like 6 or 7 of his books, and so I really hope that I vibe with his writing style. We'll also be continuing on with the Skeleton Crew read-along over on the Bookish Drummers Discord. We've read the first couple. We read the first couple in March, and we'll be continuing on. I think it ends in June or something, so just a couple of short stories per month, and it's been enjoyable so far. I'm actually liking this short story collection less than I remember, but some of the ones that I remember really liking are coming up. But overall, this was in my head a 5-star short story collection, and I think it's almost certainly going to lower to 4-star on second read, just because I don't know if I can give 5 stars to something that has so many unmemorable short stories in it that like just didn't really do anything for me. So we'll see how it goes. But the ones that I'm really excited to get to are coming up soon, I think in April. So I'll be looking forward to getting back into those after, I think, 12 years since I've read this book, and we'll see how I feel about them then. The last of the buddy reads that I have going on this month, I don't have a physical copy of, and it is Spirit of Vengeance by Rob J. Hayes. I will be reading this over on Wicked Good Books Discord, along with Nick and Tyra and some other of the regulars over there. Rob J. Hayes' first 2 books in the Mortal Technique universe I really enjoyed. Never Die was fantastic, and then Pawn's Gambit was different enough that I really enjoyed it. At the time of reading them, I actually thought I liked Pawn's Gambit more, but then some people have been talking to me about the stuff in Pawn's Gambit, and I went back and looked at my old review of it, and I was like, maybe I didn't really like this one as much as Never Die, but I still thought it was a solid entry. I really liked it. And everybody who's read Spirit of Vengeance says that it is really good and like the best of the trilogy, and it's much longer, so you get more time to kind of get into this world. I think what Rob J. Hayes has going on here is really special in the world, and how all of the elements come together, and they're just kind of light, breezy, but fun reads. That might change a little bit with Spirit of Vengeance being like over 500 pages, but I'm still really expecting to enjoy it and get through it pretty quickly. Alright, that's it for buddy reads. So the other books I'm going to be reading this month that are just on my own is, first of all, Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie, the first of the standalones in the First Law series. I absolutely loved the First Law trilogy. Joe Abercrombie has won me over completely and utterly. I am expecting to like Best Served Cold, but not love it. I don't mind Revenge Tales, but I've heard lukewarm things on people whose opinion I trust on Best Served Cold, and I've heard that it just gets really repetitive and that the main character is pretty one-track minded, and those types of characters I don't tend to like as much. But Joe Abercrombie has my faith, so I don't think I'll hate it or anything. I'm just expecting to find it like a 3.5, 4-star read, and hopefully I'm wrong, and it's just a 5-star the whole way through. Next is the carryover from March. I did not start The Bladed Faith by David Danglish this month. It comes out April 6th, so I will definitely not have it done by the time of release date, but I'm still really interested in reading it. I've heard that it goes really fast, so I would like to just kind of fit it in as like a mobile read when I'm out and about, or when I just want, something quick as opposed to a physical book, and I can maybe get through the month that way. The next book I really want to read this month if I have time is Howling Dark by Christopher Bracchio. I took a month off from this series in March, and it was like very stressful. I read Empire of Silence in February, and I absolutely loved it, and I went out and bought paperbacks for Howling Dark and Demon in White, and I wanted to just tear into them, but I did not have time in March. And I have buddy reads that I have to prioritize in April, so I'm really hoping I can get to this. I do have the audiobook, and I audiobooked Empire of Silence and really enjoyed it, but I just like Bracchio's prose so much that I really want to read the physical book, and so I might maybe sneak the audiobook in a little bit, but I would really like to primarily read this physically. And the last book on this TBR that will probably slip into early May unless I just blow through some books quickly will be Divinity's Twilight by Christopher Russell. Christopher Russell sent me this book. It was very nice of him to send me this, and I've heard good things about this book. It's not that long either. It's only like 450 pages, and I'm going into this book completely blind, which I don't do very often. I usually like to know some things about the book, but I know absolutely nothing about this book, besides that some people that I know have really liked it. And I've spoken to Christopher Russell on Instagram a lot, and he seems like a really nice guy. I really hope that I like his book, but I'm really excited to give it a chance and see what I think of it. Alright everybody, that is my April TBR. We'll see how closely I stick to it this month. I'm really proud of myself for how well I stuck to my March TBR. maybe what I really need is the accountability of filming a video saying out loud, I'm going to read this. And then that's what makes me make sure that I stick to those books. So we'll see if that makes me want to read these books more as opposed to just mood reading some other stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. Have you read any of these books? If you've read any of them, what are your thoughts? Are there any of these books that I should prioritize, that I'm the ones that maybe I'm not too sure that I'll get to? What's your April TBRs look like? Are there any books that you're super excited about reading? Let me know down in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos, and thank you so much for watching. See you all next time.